the city of San Juan at 4:06 p.m. Go ahead, Mr. Luna.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Commissioners, staff, Mr. Vela. Today, we have the under discussion and possible action on the following matter. This is just more like a presentation, so it's a presentation by First Southwest Division of Hilltop Securities and Combination Tax and Revenue Certificate of Obligations, Series 2020 Preliminary Plan of Finance for the funding of the City Hall Public Transit Terminal Building. As you remember and you know, we're working on our City Hall. One of the things that we talked about was the different funding possibilities. Well, the ones that we have here in front of us, Mr. Chris Vela, our financial advisor, is going to give us a presentation on the funding that is going to be hopefully utilized for this City Hall. Before you have the preliminary plan of finance, and this is so that we can go ahead and get started with the building of the City Hall. So, Mr. Vela.
Thank you, Mr. Arjona. Mayor, members of the City Commission, staff, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Vela with Hilltop Securities, financial advisors to the City of San Juan. We have been asked and have been working with your city staff in developing a plan of finance for the funding of the City Hall complex that currently under consideration. And I will turn your page on the turn your attention to page number 1 of the presentation. And starting with the first bullet point under the plan of finance, the City of San Juan, Texas intends to finance a portion of a municipal complex and park improvements with the issuance of combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 220. The certificates would fund a total of $5 million in projects, $4,700,000 to finance the municipal complex supported by the city, utility department, EDC, 4B Corporation, and sanitation department respectively. $300,000 to finance park improvements supported by the city only. The municipal complex would be utilized by various departments within the city, and each department would partially support the financing of as follows: city administration, INS, debt service taxes, utility department, utility system net revenues, EDC 4B Corporation, 4B sales tax, and sanitation department, sanitation net revenues. On page 2 of the plan of finance, the new debt capacity is obtained through growth in taxable assessed valuations in tax years 20 through 21, assumes preliminary taxable assessed valuation as provided by the Hidalgo County Appraisal District, no tax rate impact. Organic growth and adequate rates and charges for the utility fund, no utility rate impact. Organic growth and adequate rates and charges for the sanitation fund, no sanitation rate impact. Existing 4B sales tax revenues as reported by the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts as of June of 20. The certificates can be issued as bank qualified for lower interest rates, fixed interest rates. City total exempt debt issuance of less than $10 million for calendar year 2020. The certificates will be rated by Standard & Poor's. The city's current outstanding GO rating by Standard & Poor's is rated A. The certificates would be sold through an open market competitive sale like we did the last time.
Mr. Vela, real quick before you move
Yes,
on,
sir.
I just want to put something on the record. So as far as when you mentioned, I know on the fiscal year where you mentioned no tax rate impact, you're talking about there's no increase of any taxes, an increase in tax in
Correct.
regards, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to put that on the record before we move on. All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Moving on to page 7, which is the next steps and schedule of events. Presentation of preliminary plan of finance to the City Commission, which would be today. The next gray area, which would be on the 23rd, presentation of final plan of finance to the City Commission. City Commission directs staffs and consultants to implement the 220 Plan of Finance. The City Commission approves a resolution authorizing the notice of intent to issue the certificates of obligation, Series 20. And then the City Commission considers and approves a reimbursement resolution that allows the city to spend monies and reimburse themselves from certificate proceeds at a later date after delivery. Competitive pricing of the certificates of obligation on the 25th of August. City Commission approves an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the certificates of obligation, Series 220. Closing before the Attorney General approves the sale. Closing and delivery would be on September the 22nd. That is your, we also attached an appendix with cash flows for your information. Any questions?
Mr. Arjona, in regards to this particular item on this agenda, how often did you meet with Mr. Vela and the finance, Mr. Leroy, and reviewing all the numbers and stuff like that?
We had numerous visits between Mr. Gonzalez, myself, and Mr. Vela. We must have been going back and forth maybe 2 to 3 times until we finalize the numbers. One of the things that we talked about, if you can see on the packet, is the percentage base as to what we estimated that is going to be used among the different departments. And one of them was the general fund, which is city staff. The other one, obviously, everybody city staff, but this general fund, utility, sanitation, and also the EDC will be taking part into this. So we estimated based on the percentages what their occupancy was going to be. And it's something that we work closely with Mr. Vela in this respect, and also with Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Vela's staff. So coming at the very end, I know that at the very beginning, we talked about different possibilities of different funding. One of them was a P3, the other was a direct loan from the bank, and the other one was a CO. Looking at the 3 of them, the one that was most advantageous to the city as far as the rate impact and all that, not that to be raising any property taxes or anything like that, was the CO. As far as the upfront cost money as well, the lowest one was the CO. So that's what we're presenting this to you guys. So that is the best possible option, financing the city hall at a very low minimum, no impact, no increase. So we feel very confident that this is a way that the city hall can be built without hurting our INS at all.
And so with that being said, we'll still be on a level or grade?
That is the expectation, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry. That is the expectation.
Okay. Good. Any questions from the commission?
If I may,
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Arjona, in previous discussions, of course, it's basically been about the city hall complex itself, correct? Now, in this one, I see that we're also including 300,000 for park improvements. Park improvements that have already been approved?
No, and
No.
this is why we're bringing them over, because there's some park improvements that was done. As you remember, the softball fields. Now, we also, along with that, we need additional improvements, so that's why I'm bringing it over. We're improving the other stuff such as the canopies, the remodeling, some of the walking trails that lead to the baseball fields. They're in dire need of repairs. We're investing almost a little bit. At the last time was about $500,000, and I think that investing a little bit more onto those fields to make them adequate in the sense that if we're going to make an expense, might as well do the whole thing and not take it into little strides here and there. This will give us the opportunity, again, not to raise any taxes, not to put it in the fund balance or the general fund the next fiscal year. And I think this way it'll be a little bit of monies that will be taken away from the INS on a yearly basis. So it was, in my opinion, instead of going, coming before you all at the budget season time, instead of asking for $300,000 at one chunk of monies, I'd rather put a little bit at a time for the next 20 years.
If it's something that hasn't been discussed, how did you come up with that number, 300,000?
The number was something that we discussed with the Parks and Recreation. What is it that we need to accomplish what we need to accomplish?
So that the municipal park, now we're looking at, instead of $500,000, $800,000.
other things beside the field, such as the canopies. Hopefully, we can have enough monies so that we can put the scoreboards, also some of the sidewalks, make them handicap accessible.
ADA compliant?
ADA compliance, yes. And that's our goal and our hope that we can do that.
I know just looking at the, I mean, restrooms and stuff like that need some work to be done as well. Okay.
But all of
And-
that was considered when we approved the 500,000, or when the 500,000 was approved by the
No,
commission.
sir, it was just the
It
fields.
wasn't
No,
considered at all.
it was just the fields that we're looking at.
Staff and everybody that looked at this, that's what they recommend the way to go.
As far as what we recommend it to go, yes, this is the way that we're recommending it to go.
So in the long haul, Mr. Arjona, in reference to the municipal parks, you guys are planning to, once we develop or, we upgrade the parks, and part of upgrading is this 300,000 that you're asking for, or actually the Parks and Rec, so that way we can maybe, make some kind of revenue off the parks as far as tournaments and stuff like that? Is that in the works too?
That's the whole goal, that once we finish with the parks, we can actually rent them out. As a matter of fact, there's people calling already, if they can rent them for weekend.
They are?
Weekend tournaments, and at this point, we're saying, no, we can't, not yet, because we haven't finished. Even though the fields are done, we haven't finished with the canopies, we haven't finished with the bleachers, the seating, even the concession.
I know they had also mentioned earlier about talking and making some batting cages out there as well for some parks. I mean, investing in something like that, I mean, you need to go with.
That's another thing that's gonna be on this particular project is batting fields. I mean, batting,
The
batting cages.
And we gotta remember that, I mean, this does bring in revenue weekly, I mean, every single, I mean,
And also the other thing is, once we finish with this project, is we wanna bring back the leagues over at night. I remember that back in the day, San Juan was known for the softball leagues. Edinburgh, the city of McAllen, now I think it's only the city of McAllen and Edinburgh, the ones that are known for this. So we wanna be able to compete in this level as far as renting or having some softball leagues, so that it'll generate more revenue. If we open them up at least twice or three times out of the week.
Well, no, the most important thing is, I mean, the city of San Juan would be the first municipality with turf fields that I know. I mean, I may be wrong, but I know the school districts have turf fields, but I'm talking about municipalities.
Right.
you're gonna draw a lot of teams. You're gonna
City,
draw a
right?
lot of
We'd be the
interest,
first one.
Right.
Okay,
a lot of interest.
good, yeah.
There is, like I said, there's already a lot of people calling Parks and Rec, and Mr. Willingham is here to attest to that. But they've been calling to see the opportunities of leasing or renting the fields. And like I said, at this point, we really can't, because they're not completed yet, in the sense that we don't have the facilities to accommodate people to come over. But the whole intent is also on the parks is to have weekend-long tournaments. And those, as you know, it generates good revenue.
And despite that, it's not ready yet, it's not complete. We are gonna meet the requirements set for COVID by the state, that whatever precautionary measures are being set by the state, we're gonna follow.
That's gonna be the whole intent now, because everything is changing rapidly.
Right, because not
So-
even professional baseball is playing right now,
So
so
those
I
are
don't see
some of
how
the
we can
things that
rent out fields.
we're taking into consideration, the social distancing. And hopefully at one point, it's not gonna be required no more. But at this point, like I said, everything is changing almost like on a daily basis.
Right
That's something that
now,
we need
as
to
we
include.
speak, right now, the state of Texas, it's allowed right now as far as practice and stuff.
It is
correct.
allowed, yes.
Correct, okay, so we're following.
As far as
it doesn't
precautionary
matter what we
measures,
do
right,
with
as long as
baseball.
they're being followed, because my understanding is the fields were being used this weekend, and nobody's out there supervising or making sure that the fans are not sitting or are social distancing themselves, and that they're being cleaned after people get up and move around and whatnot. Because we're not doing that.
That's something that we need to start working on, and I don't know if they will.
I guess I called Mr. Willingham yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Saturday.
Yeah, okay, on Saturday. Apparently I had the same question, and what he answered me was that yes, COVID-19, we're open, that we can do it, but we're renting them. And I asked him, okay, only because we're renting them, is there any waivers that says that we're not responsible for any kid getting COVID-19? And his answer was, no, that comes with the rental of the team, right? As far as,
Well, there's no,
Each team is responsible,
yeah.
correct?
right, they
I
rent
mean-
the field and,
Each team that comes and rents it does
Correct.
have their own insurance as well?
yes, that is one thing that we do require is insurance.
I think
And
there's-
also, just to Mr. Ramirez's point, originally, youth sports was completely going to be open today, the 15th. However, a couple of weeks ago, they pushed that date back to a week ago Saturday, the 6th. Governor Gabbett opened up all youth sports for competition and play as of June the 6th. That's why we allowed.
Not apply to them.
They encourage it, but I mean, all games are open out. It's because it's an outdoor activity.
And one other thing is the when they're immune or any local or any entity is immune to any type of COVID. So, we're not really necessarily responsible for any of that.
City?
The city or
The
any
city's not
entity.
responsible. So that's why these teams that come in have
Correct.
their own.
They number one, they need to rent, and number two, they have to provide their insurance in order to do it. We just don't,
So
we
in
need to
other
make
words,
sure
what
they're
you're saying,
covered as
Mr.
well.
Hona, is that God forbid, a kid, one who gets infected with COVID-19, it's the team's responsibility for that individual, not the city.
You have immunity towards some of those claims, but most of, it's like just like any given injury, a kid breaks his arm
Yeah.
or runs a base and breaks his leg because he planted his leg or whatever. Those types of claims are very difficult to even make against the city. So, this would be along those lines also. So, insurance companies do cover, they'll insure you for that or not, but I don't know if it's required for them to carry it or not, but I don't think that's their issue. That would be their problem to see whether or not they want to be covered for that, but as far as the city,
I think more than anything, Mr. Legal Counsel, is that, as a city, we should be safeguarding our residents, and that's my thing. Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. All righty. So, yeah, we're gonna approve it, I guess. We'll take a vote for it. In reference to this, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but in reference to this matter, this item on the agenda, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Been moved, is there a second? Second. Been seconded by Mr. Guajardo. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting has been adjourned at 4:25 PM. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vela. Appreciate it.